Namaskar, pranamams to everyone. We get into the repetition of what we went through yesterday in terms of its extension. Ashok, is my voice clear? Is it too loud? Is it too less?
I think we are good, sir.
Thank you. If you share computer sound, I cannot share what I have. Ashok, you need to stop your share. See screen. Thank you. So friends, today's session is not how we create our disease, but how the disease creates itself based on our living style. So I will start with a small session. Today's session may get extended to about 35 to 37 minutes. I'm not sure, but yes, I will try to close it as soon as possible, so that the timing that we have planned, we adhere to that. Now, so let's see this movie. It's very interesting. It reflects our day-to-day lifestyle. It reflects our day-to-day thought process, and it is like a feeling of déjà vu. We will definitely feel that we have been in similar situations, whether it is physical or it is mental.
Majority of people in their waking day, in a normal day, spend about 70% of their time living in stress. And living in stress is living in survival. And the actual definition of stress is when your body's knocked out of homeostasis. Stress is when your body's knocked out of balance. The stress response is what your body innately does to return itself back to order. You have three types of stress. You have physical stress, like trauma, injuries, accidents, falls. You have chemical stress, like bacteria, viruses, blood sugar levels, heavy metals in food, hangovers, whatever. And you have emotional stress, like traffic jams, internet connections, second mortgages, single parenting, 401ks, family tragedies. All of those things knock the brain and body out of balance. Now, all organisms in nature can adapt to short-term stress. A pack of coyotes chases a deer in the forest. The deer outruns the coyotes. The stress is over. The deer returns back to homeostasis and it grazes again. The event is over. When the deer perceives a threat in its external environment, it turns on a primitive nervous system called the fight or flight nervous system. And that autonomic nervous system, that sympathetic nervous system, begins to mobilize enormous amounts of energy for some threat in the external environment. Now, deer has all its physiology changed, all the blood is sent to the extremities, heart rate increases, respiratory rate increases, pupils dilate. The 1,300 chemicals that are created in a matter of seconds is to cause the deer to survive in some difficult condition. Now, human beings have the same mechanisms, and when we perceive a threat in our external environment, like a lion, we are going to run or fight or freeze. But if you've had problems with your coworker, or you've had a very difficult experience with your mother-in-law, the moment you perceive your mother-in-law or your coworker, you have a past experience with them, you're going to turn on the same primitive nervous system just like you're being chased by a lion. So what was once highly adaptive now becomes very maladaptive, because when you're mobilizing all of that energy, you are going to operate in very predictable ways. You're going to be an amped up animal with a big memory bank. So that your blood flow is going to go to the hindbrain and away from the forebrain, which means you're going to react instead of think, rationalize. But human beings, the privilege of being a human being is that we can make thought more real than anything else. That's the privilege. So then you can begin to forecast some future worst case scenario. And you can attend to that thought to the exclusion of everything else. And you can focus on it to such a degree that you will begin to anticipate the event and produce the same chemicals as if you were in that experience. And you're knocking your brain and body out of balance just by thought alone. You can begin to unfold some past bitter memory that's tattooed in the recesses of your gray matter. And like magic, you can bring it to life. And in that moment, it's real. And you will produce the same chemistry in your brain and body as if that event occurred. And your body, as the unconscious mind, is literally living that experience. So then, when we're living by the hormones of stress, and you turn on that stress response, and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for some disease. Because no organism in nature can tolerate living in emergency mode for extended periods of time. So if 70% of the time a person's living in survival, living in stress, in survival, what we do in order to survive is we are going to select the worst case scenario. And we are going to begin to plan our behaviors and our emotions in that experience, because anything less than the worst case scenario means we have better chances of survival. So we plan for the worst, we emotionally embrace it, and anything less means we can survive. So out of the infinite potentials in the quantum field, anxiety really represents a poor imagination, but it's highly adaptive if you're living in survival, because you got to get ready for that. So 70% of the time, people are selecting the worst case event in their life and emotionally embracing it, and they're programming their autonomic nervous system into a very specific destiny. And it turns out if you keep doing that and you create the emotions of fear and worry and anxiety, and you do that for 10 years or 5 years or 3 years, your body is going to unconsciously become programmed to fear. And it's going to have a panic attack without you. Try as you may with your conscious mind to control it, you've programmed it subconsciously. And now the body as the mind is running the show. So the hormones of stress create the emotions of anger, of aggression, of hostility, of violence, of frustration, of hatred, of fear, of anxiety, of guilt, of shame, of hopelessness, of powerlessness, depression. Those are all chemicals that are derived from the hormones of stress. And when we live by the hormones of stress, we become very selfish. Why? Because when you're in survival, you got to take care of the self. Your attention is on your body, right? Your attention is on your external environment. There's predators out there. The rush of adrenaline causes the senses to become heightened, and you're a materialist, and you're trying to predict the future because there's better chances of survival if you can predict the future based on the past. When that occurs then, over time, the body begins to break down, because it's a scientific fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes to create disease in the long term. So if you can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, and the hormones of stress can make you sick, then your thoughts can literally make you sick.
Right? Friends, so we just saw what can be done if we let things out of control. When we let things come over us rather than we being in control of this situation. So what does this mean? Right? So we live our day based on, one sec please. Yeah. Anyway. So we live our day always stressing this area of our energy centers. What does that mean? We get into a sort of a, probably the right word to use would be, we get into a sort of a nuclear fission, wherein there are only two elements participating in it. One is the thought. Immediately thought results in a feeling, and that becomes the cyclic loop in which we are living. This is probably due to the work environment, and a similar would be based on our responsibilities that also push us into similar situation. The impact is not different in either case, it is the same. So what is it that we need to understand from what is happening in our mind and body? See, the first thing is, we all know that when the brain is in action, we call it mind. That means the neurons are made conscious by our behavior. So if we keep thinking on the same lines, we have seen that there is a particular pattern in which we react and respond. For example, let us say we are driving a car. How many times do you think of what is the next action that I should take? Do you consciously think of it, or the body thinks for you? Just keep that in mind. Then, so now what is happening? There is a sequence, a program that is stored in your mind. I am driving the car. So when I need to, if I am driving a shift gear pattern, I know I have to go to the first gear, I have to go to the second gear, I have to go to the third gear, I have to go to the fourth gear. And that is how a maneuver. I see some obstruction coming. I apply the brake, then I start over the process all over again. Right. Now, if I'm driving an automated car, yes, there is a component that is to take care of it. Hopefully, it always functions the way it should. If it doesn't, then again, there has to be some intervention. So this becomes the program that is stored in the mind, right? So we have defined the environment, we have defined the conditions under which what action should take place, and we have also defined our reaction to it in terms of remembering it as I am sitting in the car, right? That becomes probably an association that you do in your mind to recall that particular event again and again. It becomes a subprogram in your day's activity. Similarly, right? Suppose you say, no, this time I'm not going to drive the way, let the car drive me, I'm going to drive it, I'm going to do it very cautious. For example, you have moved from the US and you have come down to India to do your driving. Here again, till you train yourself, the sequence might get altered and you will then store a new program. That means you have the ability to adapt to the situation. Internally, what is happening in such a scenario is, first of all, there is an idea that we learned, right? In yesterday's session, we went through saying that a number of thoughts together becomes an idea. That idea will fire what we call neurotransmitters from the brain. These neurotransmitters are messages which are chemically created and delivered to where these become the content that go as a signal to some component within the structure of what we put together yesterday. There are functional systems in the body. and all systems need to function together to get you the desired outcome. So here what is happening is we are creating the thought, putting the sequence of thoughts together, and then firing what we call a capsule. This capsule is nothing but neuropeptide, right? This neuropeptide is actually a packaged sequence of information for what is to be done by the individual hormones that we have. Now, where are these hormone centers? They are in the energy centers. They are in the chakras, right? So when this neuropeptide goes and hits the hormone center, the hormone will release another kind of what you call the ligands. They call that the ligands, right? It's there coming up in the next slide, but however, I just released it. Yeah. So now what happens is once you accept that situation, you start recollecting, thinking along all those past events that are similar in nature, because as a process, the mind is a device that works only on your past to create your future. If we are conscious of it, situation can be different. But once the mind has come down to the level of a body, then it is the body that takes over. So it keeps asking, send me one more reason to feel the way I am feeling. Send me one more, send me a few more. And we create a new kind of a story for us. That defines our chemical state of the body's behavior. You may be feeling angry, you may be feeling happy, you may be feeling disgusted. So this process doesn't change, but the outcome keeps changing, right? Depending upon the sequence of the thoughts that have come together. And then we need to remember, now what has happened, it has got repeated so many times that you need not be aware of it. That means from the conscious mind state, it has shifted itself to the subconscious mind. And from the subconscious mind, it has gone into the unconscious mind. What is this unconscious mind? It is your body. Your body, by force of habit, responds to that thought without the intervention of your conscious self. Because if the conscious self is intervening, then there could be a change in the outcome, whereas the body is not comfortable with that. So we need to remember that the thought now has become a package of energy. And this package of energy gets stored somewhere as a total response. It is a packaged energy. Remember, this packaged energy is stored in our solar plexus, which is the third center. Remember, we are still in the survival mode, and survival mode deals predominantly with the first three chakras. So this energy is now sitting in the solar plexus, right? Let's go further. So we have till now captured that there is a coherent way of creating the brain waves. There is an incoherent way. It could be by virtue of a past experience or a future expectation. Yeah. And we will only be coherent if we are able to divide the presence of the past as well as the future. Right. So let's keep that as one thumb rule that is going to guide us throughout our life. What is the second one? If we do not enable the continuous flow of energy, then the energy gets stuck. And we just saw it gets stuck in the third chakra, from where a lot of things get triggered. That is also part of the gut area, which we say, I know my gut feel. This is where your gut feel comes from, right? Energy is stuck. There are various capsules sitting there, and responses come from, because that starts triggering your behavior. It is part of the unconscious body, right? And throughout the day, we are passing through a scale of different kinds of emotions. When I say different emotions, as far as the body is concerned, as far as quantum physics is concerned, it says that all these energies are varying. I mean, all these emotions are varying energies vibrating at different levels of frequencies. And remember the word frequencies. Emotions is equal to frequency, right? Now, so what do we have? In the brain, we have what they call the ligands, right? So these ligands that you see are of multiple kinds. Ligand in simple terms means nothing but creating a bondage. And this bondage of various nerve cells, right? Or various tissues. And this is also a bondage between the thought and the body, the mind energy and the body energy and its response, right? So these ligands are of generally three types, which is your neurotransmitter. The outcome or the result of the neurotransmitter is the neuropeptide, and this neuropeptide is the one that gets released as hormones based on the instruction that it receives. The individual energy center is able to release those kind. And we have a number of glands in the body which follow this rigmarole very, very meticulously, right? So the neurotransmitters trigger the brain. From the brain, it moves as a sequence of thoughts, creating a mind. A mind is now compartmentalized. I am driving a car, I am taking a shower, or I am going and meeting friends, I am going to so-and-so restaurant. All these are components of what we can call a level of the mind. Once we start paying attention to the level of the mind, you will always assign a sort of a symbol to it. Remember that symbol is the one that we recognize, and that starts when we are with the external world. We are dealing with the external world. And when we move into dealing with the internal world, this symbol can also be repeated inside from the storage of the mind. Right? So that is how the entire process will slowly come. And once it has come to the hormone center, there is a chemical messenger which then triggers the individual gland and to release energy, to release productivity, to release their designed function, to be aligned to their designed function, right? So now what has happened? See, we have gone through the sets of minds, that create. There is an energy flow in the body, and we know how to create blocks, or how the blocks get created, which is by virtue of the thought process, by the virtue of the consumption by individual centers. It's like a battery or a cell phone. If we are fully charged and we consider ourselves as a cell phone, we go to a weak area. The cell phone is designed to function in a particular manner, just as our body is designed to function in a particular manner. And we have gone into a weak signal area. What happens to your battery? You will observe that because I am in the weak signal area, my battery has drained faster. Now, what is weak signal as far as I am concerned when the body is into picture? It is the thought process, that particular level of mind which I am triggering to lead a particular mode. Either I am in the survival mode or I am in the creative mode. One of these modes is the one that defines the behavior pattern of my life in that particular day. Just like my cell phones, life is defined by the strength of the environmental signal. So now if I take that and I continuously take my cell phone to an area where there is limited signal, the cell phone has to be functioning as per its design. Likewise, when I am living under the impact of the survival, I am blocking my mind to live by that survival motion, which means I am taking in the energy, I am consuming it, but I am storing it. I am consuming it, a portion of it I am leaving it for insurance, because we are trained from our childhood to say, always prepare for the worst and then you can overcome any kind of a situation. So we train our mind, and when it comes to our leading our personal lives, we are victim to that scenario. So now what is happening under the impact of living in the survival mode? First of all, let us remember, wherever our attention goes, so follows the energy. So now each center gets activated when we start focusing, when that particular neuropeptide is triggering a particular hormone which is going to a particular gland, right? That particular area is going to get the energy, and what happens to the others? Poor fellows. They become the hungry cousins of the one that is receiving all the energy, right? So we trigger various minds. It is fight, it is flight, it is enjoy, it is each of these. So each of them becomes a capsule which determines how we work. So this flow of energy is now managed under the living mode. It is managed by just 3 centers. And over a period of time, internal addiction takes place. Addiction not at the mind level, but that level of energy, that level of thought is required for us to trigger those sequences, those parts of the body to function. And if that energy is not there, they will not get triggered. And if the triggering is not happening, the vibration of frequency in those starved centers of energy will slowly reduce. A stage comes from energy level, they start becoming part of vibrating as a physical entity. And when we start vibrating as a physical entity at a lower level of frequency, that is when, right, quantum physics says that disease is equal to nothing but lowering your frequency. What happens to your cell as you progress into the same area and you do not supply it with energy? It will die down. It will malfunction. When it malfunctions, you say it is afflicted, and subsequently when it stops working, you say it's dead. Right? The same way, let us not be under that control. Let us understand. Till now, we have now defined the environment and our body's response, whether it is conscious or unconscious, to that scenario. Now, from a quantum perspective, we are saying that all disease is nothing but lowering of frequency. And how do we lower this frequency? We are saying we are energy, we are information, we are so many things, right? How is it that the body will lower its frequency? We have already gone through it. What is happening now is when the trigger is coming from the brain, as neuropeptides and the various ligands that we spoke about, we start living in not the creative mode which generates energy, but in the consumption mode, which is the survival. Now, as the signal strength keeps reducing, the type of whatever happens when we have the video on, we are on a mobile signal, we are connected to Zoom, we are trying to talk. whatever we are trying to talk starts getting stretched. There is nothing as a result but non-coherence that is setting in. The signature that is coming out as signal to the individual parts of the body. Please consider them as the recipients sitting and listening to me in the Zoom session, and suddenly my signal starts wavering. You will not be able to make sense of what I am saying, right? Now, because you are not able to make sense, you will not understand what I am saying. You will not be able to relate to the topic that is being discussed. And all those things happen, which if our sequence of thoughts of what we are taking in the communication were to be a body, what is happening? My waves are not strong enough, and my amplitude is not strong enough, my frequency is not strong enough, I am distributing non-coherence. The non-coherence is getting interpreted as messages where there are breaks, and slowly individual systems within the body will now start suffering. When they are suffering, what will result is we start pulling down the operating frequency, because every center again, because of the maintenance of balance of the required amount of energy, will keep vibrating at a particular level. And we will see there has been an experiment which actually gives us some figures. We will come to that, right? So now the body by nature is designed to live under stress, but it cannot be continuous living under stress, whether it is real or whether it is generated by our imagination, whichever it is. And when this happens, we just saw that this is going to impact the individual functioning entity, individual gland. From the gland, it goes to that particular system. Malfunction of the system comes down in its performance, right? So now we come to a stage where if this sequence keeps on repeating, the effect on the body is very unpleasant. Because if it is for a short time, the body has an innate capability to come back. For example, whenever we go to a doctor, they say, I've got a severe back pain, sir. His first statement is, how's your lifestyle a day? And then he revisits and says, first thing I want you to do is take these vitamin capsules, and maybe you take complete bed rest for a period. You are allowing the body to return to its homeostasis, which is the state of balance. You don't allow that to happen, then you are in the survival mode continuously. And over a period of time, we have seen that there is a breakdown to such an extent that from energy, we have transformed ourselves to matter, a stage of matter. And the moment matter comes into picture, the nature of, the laws of matter are applicable. One of the laws of matter is what we all studied as thermodynamics. And at that stage, we never understood what it was. But now it means that as per this law, the law of entropy, it says that as the vibration reduces, as the functioning reduces, the body begins to break down. Anything that is physical, anything that is matter, the matter starts the process of breakdown. Now, when that breakdown happens, that is when we call it a disease, right? So, living in survival mode doesn't get us anywhere. What is happening to the field around us? Our field is getting depleted because all the energy that is coming is getting transformed and consumed or stored. And that results in the energy getting compressed, diminished, our radiation goes down, all those entities start manifesting. themselves, right? So we need to remember this. Living conditioned by a program doesn't take us anywhere. Trying to always plan for the worst and using that planning for the worst to protect ourselves is fine. But basing our decision and lifestyle on always preparing for the worst, if it has the potential to damage us or make us, both are there. If we remove the yesterday from our life and the tomorrow from our life, that is the best state to be in. That is when we even enjoy any new topic when we are listening to, right? We don't remember, but we collect. We then start learning. We start living in the present. Going a little bit further, so what can we do about our life? Let us see, right? The knowledge that we are getting is actually a source that is empowering us to do something with ourselves. And we can change. We are now understanding that change is possible, but it needs to start with our belief. It needs to start about our understanding of the working of the internal processes and how we can take them to the next level in terms of redefining our nature of reality, which is the sequence of thoughts that we go through in a day. Either we can let it control us or we can keep it under our conscious self. How do we bring it under conscious self? This process can be used to make us or break us. The process doesn't change. That is how the mechanism, it's like the finally designed cell phone. If you want to do WhatsApp on it, you can do. If you want to send wrong signals, you can do that also. You can disturb people. You can do so many things from thought to reality, right? Likewise, we need to understand how we are going to regulate the flow of energy in our body. And how can we do that? By doing our meditation the right way. And here I would like to thank Parameswaran sir a number of times, because when he is asking us to do that, relax every part, exhale in a particular manner. In that process, actually, we are trying to help the creative energy flow in our body. Right? Now, just as a summary, as an education, as an information, there was an experiment conducted and a device created by a gentleman by name Taino. And this Taino actually created a machine as part of his research work to measure the bioelectric frequencies of essential oils in our body and how it impacts the body's behavior. Inadvertently, he also saw and started observing the vibrations of the human body. And what did he discover? It's a very, very interesting part. Every single part in our body has got a frequency of vibration. It is not the same across, as we may have, some of us may have believed. Right? So, what his observations were, from health to disease, the frequency keeps dropping. So each component in the brain vibrates at a particular frequency and disease sets in. You will observe that the lungs are just at the starting point of manifestation of disease. That is where we start catching the easiest change in our environment. And going forward, by abusing our liver also, we create problems for ourselves. By creating lower levels of frequency, we are closer to being in the cycle of reduced energy of operation. And we know what to do. We have just gone through it. So we do not want to live in thoughts or feeling or urge or lack, etc. We do not want to do that. We want to get out of survival emotions. And the only way we have in front of us is how can we redefine? We have understood the process. It is up to us what we want to do. And that is where I would like to end today's session. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me. And as usual, we'll take up the question answers at the end and so on. Yeah. And how do I get out of this? Okay, first let me come out of this. Yeah. Thank you for listening to me, friends. That brings me to probably close of whatever I wanted to say. But please remember all those processes that we went through. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sneha.
Thank you, sir. Namaste, masters. So now it's time to take this wisdom shared by Chandra sir into deep meditative state and understand at body level where is the level, where is the frequency level in which we are vibrating, and how we are actually inviting and taking ourselves to that level of lowering our frequency and inviting diseases upon us. So let's start, masters. For those who are joining us for the very first time for meditation, please follow our instructions and you'll be able to get into meditative state easily. So now I request you all, masters, to please take a comfortable posture. Find yourself a quiet place. Remove your spectacles if you are wearing any, and relax. Today's meditation is all about relaxing your physical form, going on a body scan journey, connecting with your body parts, and identifying where is it that we are lowering our frequency, connecting with the intelligence of our organs. Taking a relaxed posture. There will be a soft music playing in the background that will serve you as a reminder to be attentive of your breathing, not get drifted into a sleep state, and return back to your breathing, return to meditation. My tens and masters, many of us are living in a state of constant anxiety. The fight or flight responses that evolution has hardwired into our brains causes us to be constantly on alert. This fight or flight mode of thinking triggers genes that can cause all kinds of problems, all kinds of diseases. But if we are to learn how to change our thoughts, then the mind can heal the body. By now, we have all learned that we have an intelligence inside us. We have learned there is a divine force that gives us life, and we are all connected to it. We have learned how an atom is all but empty space, along with information, energy, and frequency. There is so much information that we hold. But there are moments when we become disconnected. When we become disconnected from the intelligence that gives us life. That, my dear friends and masters, is the moment when we get sick. Our body gets out of alignment and we experience diseases and injuries. On a day-to-day basis, we are actually holding on to stress for long, and we are always in almost a constant state of emergency. Our bodies are just not meant to handle that. That constant state of panic and stress, that state of a flight response creates an imbalance. And when that happens, all we have to do is to reconnect with this inner intelligence that we have. We need to develop a relationship with this inner intelligence. The simplest formula for achieving this connect with your inner intelligence, just like any other skill that you learn, it's very simple. You have got to go from thinking to doing to being. Let's put this formula to use today. Let's take a moment to stop thinking. Let's take a moment to do a body scan and be with our inner intelligence. Allow your body to relax. Let your feet and legs soften into position. Drop your shoulders. Relax your hands. Tell your face and jaw to relax. Allow your full body to soften down and relax into a natural position. Take a cleansing breath in and breathe out the tension in your body. Allow your breathing to fall into its own natural rhythm, not trying to control it in any way. Just observe your breathing as you breathe in relaxation and breathe out tension. If at all thoughts are intruding, allow them to pass and return your attention to your breathing. Feel your chest and stomach gently rise and fall with every breath. Notice how your body feels. Breathe in relaxation. Breathe out all the unnecessary hold-ups, emotions, limiting thoughts and beliefs. Scan your body for areas of discomfort. Scan for the parts where energy is lowering. Notice how each part of your body feels. Starting at your toes, take a note while moving up. Listen what each part has to tell. Moving on up your ankles into your lower legs. Noticing your thighs and your pelvic area. Moving up into your abdomen and lower back, your ribs and your sides. Bringing your awareness on up into your chest and upper back area. Your shoulders, your upper arms, your lower arms and fingers. Bringing your awareness onto your neck and throat area. Your head, your face, your eyes, your ears, nose and mouth. All this while taking a note of any area throughout your body that requires your attention. As you identify that particular body part, connect with it. Remember, dear friends and masters, Wherever your attention goes, energy flows. Be attentive and listen to what your body is communicating back to you. Breathing in beautiful fresh energy. Breathing out any holdups. All this while, stay mindful of your breathing and capture every information that you are receiving. as you breathe in more and more fresh energy, allow it to fill every little space through your body. Allow this energy to reach every cell. Just witness this energy moving to wherever it needs. Just be attentive of all the information that you are receiving and allow the energy to take its course. My dear friends and masters, let us all have a deep sense of gratitude for this new learning. Gratitude for this process of connecting with our internal intelligence. Gratitude for all the wisdom that helps us stay healthy. Gratitude for our ability to understand and act upon the information that we have received. Gratitude towards our breath. Gratitude for this abundant cosmic energy that helps us heal. With this, it's now time for us to return to our physical consciousness. Slowly bring your awareness onto your palms. Rub your palms together and gently place them over your eyes. Slowly open your eyes inside your palms on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You may now release your palms, and whenever you feel ready, welcome back, Masters.
Thank you, Sneha, with your wonderful meditation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Masters, you are now free to ask any questions or queries which you have.
Thank you, Chandra sir, for a beautiful session, and also thank you for the beautiful Sneha madam for the beautiful meditation.
Thank you, sir.
Chandra sir, I have a question. Like you mentioned something like in the solar plexus area. So is it like if somebody has any disease or anything like that? So is that like one of the main center, like where we will see the blockage?
The answer is yes. It is what they call the Manipuraka chakra, which is around your slightly above the navel. That is where our survival energies get stored. That is where your power, your confidence, all these elements emanate from. That is the source. That is the point of beginning. Right? You feel weak, that is the source. You feel strong, it is the same source.
Because the reason I'm asking is like one of my friend, like he complains like almost last 10 to 12 years, like he always complains that like whenever he's like a stressed out or in anxiety mode, like he's like always feels that the kind of pain or that the tightness in that solar plexus area actually. So
that is true. That is where it will manifest.
so what about the other chakras actually? So
See, a chakra, the predominant impact will be felt in that particular chakra. Doesn't mean the others are not involved. All the chakras are always involved in any situation that we are in. But
okay.
it is a question of cause and effect, right? And cause and effect is something that governs the Manipuraka chakra. Right?
Okay.
So the impact will be felt there. Doesn't mean, for example, they say you go into a, let us say, an infectious environment. You go and spend some time there, right? You may probably take that and come back. That is the source, right? The effect of that source is felt by you. Suppose you had the immunity to fight them, it will not impact. That's the way the whole thing works. So it is not one single source that will cause a problem, but somewhere everything has to begin, and that becomes the point.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Upendra, sir. You are muted, sir.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you for the great journey, the great meditation. I want to thank Chandra, who is Chandra sir, who is my cousin, and who invited me. I'm grateful to him. And my question is that I spent a lot of time in the U.S., 48 years, and one of the things I keep hearing is what's called a good stress. And is there something called a good stress? You need a certain amount of stress for you to have that adrenaline to do things. A lot of times, if you don't have any stress, you are really slacking off.
See, stress is always going to be there, but it depends upon how you respond to that. Are you going to give energy to the stress, or are you going to give supply energy to avoid that stress? So in one case, you are becoming subservient to the stress. You are submitting to the stress. In the other case, you are taking a learning out of it to improve and manage that stress. So what is it that is controlling you, or what is it that you are controlling? That is where the discrimination that we can draw. That is where happens to be the discrimination. And we know a stress can be, you're saying, positive. So adrenaline becomes a trigger for your response, trigger for your behavior. For example, you get a project. You need adrenaline to implement that project. But the same adrenaline, you're getting a project and the brain is saying, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. There is also adrenaline produced in the second instance, but that is not the helpful part. So, I mean, while in the US or elsewhere, every person has got his own interpretation, and everybody becomes a Gartner in technology, or he becomes a Dr. Samuel Johnson in creating a vocabulary, right? Yes, there is stress, there is adrenaline, period. The adrenaline, are we managing it, or is it managing us, is the matter that we try to focus on here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I supplement?
Yes, definitely, sir.
Namaste. Madhu, sir. Madhu only asked, right? No,
Upendra.
Upendra, right, okay. Whatever Chandra Modali sir said, I'll put in my own language about the stress. Now, what he was talking about is now we call as de-stress, eustress. Probably you heard all this, right? Right. Some stress is good. So speakers say like that. Ultimately, when we work, there is stress, muscles get stressed everywhere. So whatever, and when you think also, there is stress here, everything. So what happens, the fight or flight mode, what you are all talking about in all situations. So we reach a tolerance level. Up to that, the body can take. So when it is beyond that only, problem comes. So repeated comes. So after that, it's okay. So some is there. And as I think I was telling, when you are busy, you are fine. When you are lazy, only all things happen. Mistakes, actually. So that busy means there is some amount of stress. It is needed. That is fine. So the concept of the disease as per ancient knowledge itself. See, now he talked about the chakra, solar plexus. All chakras. See, the vyadi is more than 90% is psychosomatic. So we call it as Adi Vyadi and Anadi Vyadi. From Adi means stress-borne diseases from the mind only. So the first starts thoughts, so many things starts in the mind. So then when the mind is not relaxed, always, wandering, so a lot of movement. Mind is nothing but movement. The other day I was talking, activity. So mind is always active, keep on. So what happens? Stress is there. So there the seed of disease is already there, in fact. So when it is there, what happens is your next Panchakosha, that's next cellular level, our Pranamaya Kosha, energy body. So energy normally, a healthy person, yes, healthy lifestyle is there. Energy will be flowing through all the channels, all the chakras, all the 72,000 nadis. If all are open, you are wonderful. So when it is there, it affects there also. And your energy is not moving. So it's all interlinked from thought. So energy is not moving. So there is blockages, haphazard flow of prana, or faster, not rhythmic. All those speed. Today, that is the main thing, speed, faster. So that causes energy imbalance. So depending upon where your mind is, which chakra and what you are doing, etc., depending on that, that chakra is affected. Then it takes time. By the time the nearest organs already started, some problems are there, already started deteriorating, malfunctioning, like pancreas, diabetics are seen after several years sometimes, or your blockages still live. So then it takes some more time to manifest in the body. So body has a balancing mechanism. We have like two kidneys are there. If one is not functioning, other will be functioning like that. Even bypass can be done. In fact, I don't know whether some of you are aware, what we call as bypass artificially. In fact, our body does that. When there is a blockage in one artery, automatically it flows through the other one. Only we should have the courage. Yes, I can do it. Nothing to worry. Like that, such mindset people, it happens. It has happened. So that is possible. So this is one aspect. And so what I'm telling is the disease, seed is already put. From there it starts. Then by the time it is manifesting in the body, it would have taken a lot of time. So here the wisdom what you are giving is probably my first session, I put the Vivekananda photo, you create your destiny. Now yesterday what Chandramadali sir said, what was the conclusion? You create your reality. Only one word is changed, but message is same. So all these 35 days, 36 days or whatever, you are talking about that only understanding and follow. So this is how the stress. So Adija Vyadi, Anadija Vyadi, coming back to that. Almost all are Adija Vyadi only. Root is in the mind. So stress starts from there and it affects. So various things. That's why all now he himself is cured of his diabetes. So many are there. Even cancer, there are people today, they have become, serving society. No cancer, doctor would have given a date, appointment with the Yama, but the Yama could not come. even today for some people. So we can change your destiny. It is possible. Stress is there, normal, but how you, as he said, master your mind, you can control. And the anadija vyadi, what you are talking about, like the pandemic or injuries and infections are the only thing which are not stress-borne disease. Like when you fall, break, I cannot say you do yoga, your bone will be all right. You have to take precaution, but I did it for information. I took 3 weeks rest. I went for a paragliding in my 60s for your information, and it did not take off from Kulu or Manali, somewhere there. It's so, there was a guide, of course. I just went on. I'm not in video, you see. Okay. It did not take off, did not open. So it took time. So by the time my knee is all, in the grass, it is not properly guided. There is no, in India, you can see how it's all by ordinary people guiding. Then a lot of damage was done to my thighs and muscles, the hip joint and all that. Then, of course, took off. The very next day, even I climbed more than 200 steps with my spiritual group. We all did. After coming back to my home, then I checked the orthopedician. There was even hairline fracture, lot of damage. He said, don't move out of your bed for a month. That's all. So I took rest. There I have to obey. But in my spirit, I managed for a few days, 2-3 days. Then I took rest. Then not medication, by pranayama, dhyana, etc. And whatever minimum asanas you can do, wherever needed, like physiotherapists are telling, certain movement is needed, but taking care of that. Like that, you can overcome. So spiritual means you have to see whether it is adija or anadija. So these sort of things you should not 100% depending when there is an injury and infection also today. And infection now, it is there now, third dose or booster dose. They are talking about third dose. Even first and second, I did not have belief in that. But for my children's sake, I took it. But it is my immunity which is safeguarding me. So if you increase your immunity, again, start from our thoughts only. Because I never got a fever or nothing. All the both doses, nothing happened. Many of you also. But for some people who are thinking, oh, I may get a fever, yes. Even youngsters who are in 20s and 30s, they got fever, they suffered for 3 days, 4 days, etc. So all are adija vyadi, that's the point I'm saying, except few, like injuries and infection, other than that. So if you take care of starting point, I am certain all this stress we can take care. That's all. My little understanding from my own life and from other masters, what I learned. Thank you for your patience. I hope I clarified my point, right?
Sir, you can also add one more thing in terms of bringing about a change. Even the genes and its structure can be altered by the power of the thought.
Power of?
And people are now accepting that there is nothing that is genetic, except
epigenetic.
For probably less than 2% of the diseases.
Yeah.
And everything can be altered. That is the power. I mean, just knowing that it can be done is the beginning of the power that we are endowed with.
It's a belief system, that's what I believed I can cure, I cured it. That's the point, same thing. Yeah, that's why whether I convert properly, that is why there was even hairline fracture. There was a lot of damage to my thigh muscles. So for 1 year, I could not sit in Vajrasana and so many asanas. Today, I'm still sitting in Vajrasana. Ashok Gavardhani, all would have seen. I'm sitting. So by use it or lose it. When you are almost normal, then you have to use the body because there is no spare for your organs. That's why if you don't use, it will become rusted. It's better to wear out than getting rusted. That is another message I would like to say. But not when there is already a damage. Wait for the damage to get repaired by your own. Yeah, you can cure it. Other things are only temporary or momentary or little help. That's all. Like a battery starter to start the car, but the fuel is in your hands, within you. That fuel is your prana, abundantly available. So expansion is life. That's all. Thank you. I have more than this also. There are several cases I have healed myself. I don't want to take more time here. That's all. Even known people.
Anila ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Chandra sir. Today you have explained so beautifully the subject. Actually, in our college days, we used to read as an anatomy and physiology. But today, related to this, I think I understood the subject today well. And then you made me to remember our professor. Thank you, sir. Thank you. You explained so beautifully. Thank you, Chandra sir.
So
Ravi?
this is Ravi here, Chandra sir and Parmeshwaran sir. So you beautifully explained, how what stress is for people like me who are ignorant. I was having stress, thinking that I don't have a stress. So now you explained what the stress is and what the blockage is, and in other words, the packages that we have. So how long would it take to get rid of all this unwealth or the blockages that we built in our body, to unleash them out of our body?
There is no fixed answer for that question. Normally, for a healthy person, if he gets an injury, it probably heals within, let us say, a week or 10 days. A normal healthy person, right?
Yeah.
I was a diabetic. I also had a scratch. And those were the days when I was living under fear. It took me 2.5 years to heal a small wound. And that was the case study when Anita asked me yesterday. That is what I was relating. I could have done it with medicine. I tried with medicine, but medicine would not work on a fellow who has ruined his body. Right? And he is now rebuilding his body. So when we start rebuilding, it takes time. Because, see, first is we have to detox the body.
Yeah.
Before the toxic elements are completely eliminated. And then starts our living in creativity. So as long as the detox is not complete, we are still living in the survival mode.
Okay.
From survival mode, we have to get into the creative mode. How do you get into the creative mode? What we start with is the exhale. When we are exhaling, actually, we are throwing out the blocked energies slowly and replenishing it with the fresh energy that we are taking in. So the flow is in, out. What is going on? That is the stress that is going on. If we are able to get into that kind of a syndrome, that kind of a thought process, over time, it will take time. There is no fixed answer saying that for him it took 1 week, so for me it should take 1 week.
Right.
No way. For him it may take 1 day, and for me it may take 6 months. See, the best example is in the olden days when we go to a doctor, a normal MBBS doctor, he would say, you come to me with my cold. You want medicine or you don't want medicine? You want medicine, it will take 1 week. If I don't give you medicine, it will still get cured, and it will get cured in 7 days. Right?
Yeah.
The definition of that 7 days varies for each scenario.
Yeah. So this is where.
Sir will add to that.
Yes, sir. Please.
See, in my case, another 3 years back, when I was walking on the road because of some, bad roads, in India, I got twisted and I could hear the breaking of the bone. I heard the sound. Fortunately, exactly opposite where I parked the vehicle and just walked to the house, my friend's house, it happened near the footpath. Then when I looked back, there was a hospital there. So immediately, slowly walked there and took X-ray. Said, yes, there is fracture, don't move. That's all. Okay. So I didn't do anything there. I had no confidence. Then I took a driver and went to another orthopedician, and he just put the bandage, blue color, just put that bandage, immediately it become like a plaster. He did it. Then he said, I'll give you tablets also for pain and all that. You take, come exactly after a month only, minimum 1 month. Yes, but you can still slowly walk and all that. That plaster is like that. You may be knowing it. Still you can walk comfortably, but carefully. I cannot drive and all that. That's all. So with minimum movement at home, I manage. Exactly 30th day I went with him. Asked him to. He removed. Normal as life started from the very next day. I did not take any medicine for 30 days. So to prevent further damage, that plaster. But what healed me is what? Plaster is not a medicine, right? It is my energy, which is within us. And I have the belief system. Yes. On the other hand, now last year, my daughter, similar happened. Still she is suffering. She also put, but instead of putting immediately plaster and all that, doctors, you can do this, that, like that, something got damaged. She also believed them and whatever it is. But unfortunately, still no 100% out of problem. So, first, take care whenever needed like this, professional advice. But medicine taking allopathy, it is your choice because we can create the needed happy chemicals. So that is the message.
Sir, the chemicals reminds me.
Everything is, yes, sir.
Chemical, the word chemical and where it is manufactured, etc. It reminds me of the lecture which I think I quoted last week also. Swami Sarvapriyananda in his lecture, he says that you need 500 acres of land to put up a factory to manufacture what just one component in our body does. 500 acres? Probably equivalent to a small state in, or not a state, but a county in the US or the UK. 500 acres, my God. Right? So much power is there inside us. Do we know how to use it? That is the question. And what can give us that? It is the practice. People like Sneha actually enable that, and we should know how to utilize it.
First, the self-trust. That's it. It is possible. Even you don't have to know the theoretically how it is functioning, but have trust. When the creator has created all this, definitely there is a technology already there within us. Now, I have only created the technology. So my brain is superior to that, isn't it? Not your computer is superior to me. First basic understanding is that. Whatever you talk about iPhone, who invented iPhone? See, when you create a currency for being a banker, safety and all that, there are thieves who are ready to make a better one because they have also brain, right? So they have the belief system, I can make it. So forged ones is coming out every day. So like that only in anything. Medicine also, same thing. Before a big pharmaceutical company come, there is another person making similar one at 10% of the cost. That's why there is a lot of war and so many things happening in the world today. So first we should have belief system. That's all, as you rightly said. Then nothing, we don't have to know. That's why I was telling the other day when Ravali and Anila madam, they can probably take a session on only on liver, how it is functioning technically. Then it will be amazing. We will know how the body is functioning. Like that, few parts, like heart also. I said bypass is not needed. Probably they can check that also. Bypass is happening. You can study, there are cases. So we don't have to actually cut and alter and all that, putting stent. It is a foreign material. Putting a stent is a foreign material. How can it grow? Or think of even liver, fatty liver people talk about. I know a friend of mine who has transplanted, from whom that again rejects, his own wife gave. So then I checked what does it mean, what he could understand. I did not discuss with doctor, I could not. So it is only a piece, something is taken from a part of that and operation is done and transplanted here. But you are not transplanting like a carburetor gone, means you are not taking the carburetor from somewhere and keeping it, right? It is not. So the transplant is only a very little thing done only some, whatever you talk about in science, atom or whatever smaller level, you are just putting a piece. Then your body is responding and it is manufacturing what is needed in due course. That's why some are successful, some are not. Again, depending upon your energy strength, where you are. So wonderful we have. So like liver or heart or nervous system itself, you can discuss professionals with spiritual understanding. Then we'll be more enlightened. We'll have more and more confidence. Our belief system should change. That's why. So all these 35, 40 days now, what you are talking is what Vivekananda said that day. Today, scientifically, now you know how it is happening. Explained by Murali sir and Ravali and others. Right. Thank you.
In fact, that's where the medical field is moving now. They are calling it integrative medicine, out of which 80% is what you just spoke, and 20% is the conventional medical system practices. Yes, Umesh sir.
Morning, sir. Thank
Good
you,
morning.
thank you, sir. It was a same belief system what sirs are saying and masters are saying actually on the organs actually. So yesterday what I told actually same thing. I started working on the individual organs like. First understand how organs is working and what we can give back to the organs. That is what I'm thinking whole yesterday. And I was thinking what we can give back. If at all art actually, what is the challenge of the art actually, whether it is the cholesterol is causing the challenge and things like that. Why can't you work on that actually? These are all the questionnaires came to my mind, and so on and so forth on all the organs. So today what Parmeshwar sir is saying and the especially for the detail, we can understand the details of liver and things like that. It is a long way to go. And thank you all the masters to facilitated supported me to visit Dr. Anila Madam's house and hospital. Both we went actually. We spent a time and we meditated in both the house and as well as hospital yesterday. So up to 10:30 we were there actually night. So thank you for all the masters who supported. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I am waiting to accompany you the next visit. Okay.
Tomorrow
I saw your photos. I have messaged you. Yeah, I saw your photos. I have messaged you. Next time I am coming with you. I only told you to go first. When you said pyramid, immediately I said Hyderabad, go to Dr. Anil.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm back to Bangalore. I will meet you, sir. Yeah, thank you. Yes, sir.